Welcome back, Plow and Pantry peeps, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Alicia, and today we're making and canning Salsa Verde. This is an easy recipe. You just roast the veggies, blitz it up, and jar it up. I'm a little bit giddy that I'm canning yet another thing this summer that is mostly from my garden. It never gets old to have more and more of your ingredients come from what you grew. I do a little jig inside every time. But as always, you can make this with store-bought ingredients. Lord knows I did it for years. It's a journey to grow your own food. Don't be afraid to buy things along the way while you develop your food preservation skills. And know that even if every ingredient you use is store-bought, you are still creating something with whole food from the store, where the store-bought version of something that's processed already always has additives. Remember that some things are not required to be on an ingredient list or nutrition label on things, so there are always hidden ingredients, or frequently at least hidden ingredients. And I just wanted to put that out there because sometimes I get comments from people who feel like they can't do their own things because they don't have enough homegrown ingredients. Homegrown ingredients are definitely something I aim for, but if it's important to you like it is to me, it is just one step in the process of controlling your own food. Buying quality whole food ingredients to make your own convenience items is another step. So, buy from the store, buy from the farmer's market, buy from friends who grow things. It's still a step forward when you preserve those things yourself, not only in what ingredients and quality of ingredients you can control, but also in the level of nutrition that's maintained, because store-canned food is canned at a higher temperature that affects food quality and nutrition levels. So, keep going. Today I was gathering my tomatillos and peppers from the garden. I'm using both regular bell peppers as well as jalapenos. Guys, I need to get out here and harvest and trim and maybe just mark out a whole day to just harvest and preserve things, because things are getting crazy and I don't want to lose any of this food I grew. I don't want it to rot on the vine. If you watched my last garden tour, you know that it's producing well now and it's in a stage where it's kind of hard to keep up with. In addition to those veggies, I'm also going to go down in my basement later and get onions and garlic. Those were also homegrown, but they were harvested and cured a while ago. From the store today, I'm using cilantro. It's still too hot for me to grow that here. I'm hoping to have some fall cilantro sprouting soon, though. I'm also going to use olive oil, lime juice, apple cider vinegar, and salt. And I will put my recipe in the description box below. Of course, I start out by washing my veggies and getting the husks off the tomatillos. If you've never grown tomatillos, they're a little bit sticky between the actual fruit and the husks. I have a combination of types here. Tomatillos come in a range from yellow to green and also some purple. And I have a bit, I think, of all three of those. I was using up open seed packets this spring and I just threw them all in, so I have a combination. My favorites, though, I think, after trying several different types, are Rio Grande tomatillos, so those are probably the seeds I will buy to grow for next year. After I get them all washed and patted dry, I get all my veggies cut into large chunks and onto a cookie sheet. I started with one, but you'll see me expand into a second kind of casserole dish later. I haven't made this since 2022, so I forgot that I think I used to use 2 sheet pans last time. I tend to make salsa verde one year and green tomatillo hot sauce another year and kind of flip-flop back and forth. We don't go through either of those things super fast, so if I make one large batch of each every other year, it works for me. And it helps reduce the number of tomatillos I have to grow, because when you grow a crop to can it, you have to grow enough for a bunch to be ripe at one time so that you can do a canning batch. So it's easier to grow for one recipe than for 2. Anyways, so after I got them cut and onto baking sheets, I drizzle them with oil and roast them at 400 for 20 to 30 minutes. Somewhere in here, my daughters came home from school, so you might see them in the background. Just ignore it. I am looking for the tomatillos. When I roast them, I'm looking for them to start releasing liquid and the onions to kind of begin softening. I don't need these blistered, but I do like to have a little bit of browning just because I think it's a nice flavor. Once these are roasted to my liking, I get them into a food processor. I normally use my blender, but today my blender was in the dishwasher from something else, so I use my food processor, which is a bit small for this task, but I made it work. I did have a little bit of liquid escape that I had to clean up, but it still worked. I blitz them with the cilantro and the other ingredients, and then I start getting into jars, and that's really all there is to it. Tomatillos have a finer peel than most tomatoes, so you don't have to worry about getting the peels off. They won't get tough while you're canning. They kind of just blend in when you blitz it. I had more jars heating up than I needed. I normally aim for 1 extra jar, so I have one ready just in case there's extra, because canning recipes tend to not always produce the same exact amount. Today, though, I was way under in my amount versus the jars I had ready. So I had decided to do pints, and I ended up with only 2 pints and then a half pint. So I just put the half pint in with the pints. These need 1/2 inch headspace when you're canning them. You would normally water bath can them for 15 minutes, but I am slightly above 1,000 feet, so I do 20 minutes. I just want to say, even though mine have jalapenos, this is not spicy for this recipe at all, so you could add more. It's almost sweet, actually. I love Salsa Verde chicken, but you can also use this just like salsa or as a condiment on shredded beef taco bowls or in a quesadilla. It's actually also delicious mixed into mac and cheese. I recently found a recipe I really want to try for a Salsa Verde bean and rice soup, and I can't wait for the cooler weather so that I can try another soup recipe, because right now it's in the high to mid 80s for the foreseeable future. And that is how I make and can my own Salsa Verde. I am super thankful that you chose to spend some of your precious few minutes with me today. I hope you stop by again for future videos. I make videos about canning and food preservation and gardening and cooking. And if that stuff interests you, make sure you're subscribed so that you know when I put out new videos, which is about 3 times a week. I don't know what time it is when you're watching this, but I hope that whatever amount of time that remains in your day is absolutely amazing.